This story is from the Indian state of Gujarat. In a small village nestled amidst rolling hills lived a strong and wise woman named Sharda, who commanded respect from everyone in the community. People looked up to her as a role model, praising her for her strength, intelligence, and kindness. Sharda was a single mother, raising her two children, Kinjal and Ankush, on her own. People in the village often questioned her parenting skills, but she remained resolute, determined to guide her children onto the right path. Her husband had passed away several years ago. Despite the challenges of raising a family alone, she had managed to create a comfortable life for her children and herself. Sharda couldn't help but feel a sense of relief, knowing that her daughter-in-law would be from a family that valued education and health. Kinjal and Manav seemed to be madly in love, and Sharda found it endearing to watch them together. Manav was everything she had hoped for: respectful, caring, and ambitious. "If you won't quit for yourself, at least quit for me," he pleaded, holding her hands. "I can't stand the thought of something happening to you because of this." But the thought of giving up her only vice was terrifying. As she sat alone in her room that night, she grappled with her thoughts. Should she listen to Manav and quit smoking? Or should she stick to her guns and fight for her freedom? The decision weighed heavily on her mind, and she knew it would change her life in more ways than one. Kinjal looked at him, surprised by the intensity in his eyes. She looked at the pack of cigarettes on her bedside table and felt a surge of disgust. People were amazed at her willpower and determination to quit smoking. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but seeing Kinjal succeed gave him hope. Together, they were determined to live their lives to the fullest, free from the chains of addiction. Some were envious of her strength, while others saw it as an inspiration. But perhaps the most pleased were her parents. Sharda and Manav couldn't stop smiling from ear to ear. They had feared for their daughter's health and happiness, and now they could finally relax. She was more energetic, more focused, and most importantly, she was happy. He tried calling her, but she never answered. Finally, he decided to visit her. She looked healthier, happier, and there was a faint smile on her face that he hadn't seen in a long time. "What have you done, Gigi?" he asked. Surprised, Kinjal looked at him and smiled. "I'm fine, Anku. I'm just taking a break from smoking." Ankush couldn't believe his ears. Was Kinjal really quitting smoking? He was shocked. "Are you sure? Are you sure you're okay?" he asked. Kinjal nodded. "I am. I realized that smoking wasn't making me happy. It was only causing problems in my life. So I quit." She and Manav started going on hikes together, exploring new places and trying new activities. It was like they were two teenagers in love, and Kinjal couldn't help but feel grateful for Manav's support. She couldn't believe she had been so foolish as to think that smoking would make her happier. She had never seen him so upset, and it made her realize how important this issue was for him. But instead of acknowledging his concerns, she lashed out. He said. At that moment, he knew that his sister had made the right decision. "You don't own me. I'm a grown woman, and I can do whatever I want." Kinjal, too, seemed happy. For the first few days, she found him attractive, and she enjoyed spending time with him. However, as time passed, she started to get bored. She missed her old life, her freedom, and she felt suffocated in her new surroundings. Little did she know that this union would be the turning point in Kinjal's life. He tried talking to Kinjal about it, but she just waved it off, saying it was her habit and that he shouldn't worry about it. Manav, however, couldn't let it go. He loved Kinjal too much to ignore such a serious issue. But her real strength lay in her ability to lead. The villagers had elected her as their head, a position she held with honor and dignity. But despite all her strength, there were two people she couldn't change. Her own children, both Kinjal and Ankush, had fallen into the bad habit of smoking cigarettes, and Sharda was deeply troubled by it. He couldn't believe she would accuse him of controlling her when all he wanted was to protect her. "I'm sorry, but I can't accept this. If you continue smoking, I'm afraid I might not be able to marry you," he said, tears welling up in his eyes. Kinjal gasped, her heart pounding in her chest. She hadn't meant to hurt him, but she had never imagined he would take such drastic measures. One evening, when she found them smoking, she confronted them, her voice trembling with emotion. "Why are you adding to my worries at this age? Don't you know how harmful smoking is?" Kinjal, the elder sibling, looked at her with an air of indifference. "Mom, everyone dies someday, right? So why not enjoy life while it lasts?" he said with a shrug. Ankush, the younger son, puffed out a smoke ring and added, "I'm not quitting, do what you want." His words stung like a sharp knife, twisting in Sharda's heart. Hurt and disappointed, she warned them that they would come to regret their decision, but her words seemed to fall on deaf ears. Sharda knew her children's bad habits had developed from the wrong kind of company and from the times she could ungive them while raising them as a single mother. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Sharda didn't give up hope. She kept looking for ways to steer her children away from smoking and towards a healthier life. Then one day, a ray of hope appeared. A marriage proposal came for Kinjal from a neighboring village. The suitor, a well-educated, handsome man named Manav, who lived independently and earned well, seemed like the perfect match for Kinjal. Intrigued, Kinjal agreed to the proposal. The wedding was a grand affair, a celebration of not just the union of two individuals, but also the coming together of two families. The initial days of the marriage were filled with joy and laughter. Meanwhile, Manav was concerned about Kinjal's smoking. He had seen firsthand the effects of smoking on his grandfather, who had passed away from lung cancer. One evening, after yet another heated argument about smoking, Manav decided enough was enough. Manav was taken aback by her words. However, deep down, a part of her knew that Manav was right. Smoking was dangerous, and she needed to quit. The next morning, Kinjal woke up feeling like a different person. As the days went by, Kinjal noticed that she was feeling better without cigarettes. Meanwhile, Ankush was worried about Kinjal. He hadn't seen her for weeks, and he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. When Ankush arrived at Kinjal's house, he could see the changes in her immediately. Ankush was overjoyed. He hugged Kinjal tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Gigi, you're the best." News of Kinjal's transformation spread like wildfire through the village. As for Ankush, he had promised to quit smoking,